People, man, it's your boy PJ. Today we back with another lit video. Yep, we back in the confessional, and of course, y'all know we lit. I mean, probably the most litest audience on YouTube right now. But I don't always get you know props for that. But it is what it is. Haters gonna hate. Haters is gonna hate. You hear me? But anyway, shout out to everyday people who's already in the building. Yep, we got another live. Shout out to all y'all. My boy Jay Wolf. Notification gang, big dog. That's what I'm talking about, man. See, we don't play around here. Shout out to my boy Jay Wolf, man. Y'all check out his YouTube channel, man. And make sure y'all follow me on Instagram, Everyday PJ. They got Everyday Thankful PJ. Make sure y'all follow me on Twitch, Everyday PJ. Make sure y'all follow me on Facebook, man. It's a big deal to follow me on Facebook, man. Let's turn the Facebook up. Oh shit. Oh, excuse my language. I forgot I got two keyboards, so I got a different keyboard. I'm over here typing. But anyway, we got another good live for y'all today. A woman loses custody to her baby daddy. Okay, and shout out to everybody who followed me on Twitch, man. Make sure y'all hit the like button as y'all come in, and we're gonna continue to keep it lit. Please keep your cuss words to a minimum in the chat, like misspell them, like use emojis, or be creative. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, thank you for loving the Facebook, man. We're gonna keep it lit. So let's go ahead and get into this video because I'm not about to hold you. She said you thought you were finally getting justice after a year and the judge favored the narcissist. Ooh, the narcissist is the baby daddy. Could y'all believe it? Do y'all believe that baby, man, it's too many narcissists out here. I wonder who calling me a narcissist behind my back. Anyway, let's get into the video.
I lost physical custody of my son after raising him for 11 years as a single mother after his dad abandoned me while I was pregnant. He harassed me so bad because I wouldn't have an abortion, to where I basically threatened to miscarry and was on bed rest for 5 months. He told me he wanted nothing to do with this baby and to never contact him at any point. Of course, he came around and he did get involved a little. He would come to town every maybe 3 months or so, and he would give me a small contribution towards child support. We didn't have any court ordered agreements or any child support in place. We were kind of just coming up with a mutual agreement and playing it by ear. He did eventually get married to someone else in the military, and they had a child as well. After he got married, apparently he started creating paper trails, keeping records of every flight, visitation, everything he's ever bought him, everything he's ever participated in. When my son was about 7, he did increase his involvement, participating in testings because my son does have autism, and parent-teacher conferences and meetings. At this point, I'm just happy that you're here. I'm happy that you're taking the initiative to co-parent and be involved, and I'm thinking that you're just trying to help. Little did I know he was basically positioning himself to one day take me to custody and take custody of my son. I was told that no judge would ever take a kid from his mother and move a child 13 hours away and give him to his dad, who's not even been involved his entire life. I was years behind the plot. He had been keeping records of every flight, every visitation, everything he has ever done for my son, his entire life. And when I say his entire life, I mean from the time he was about 2 or 3 until the present time. This man showed up to court every time with his military outfit on, lying under oath with his right hand to God, like it was nothing. It came so natural. Painting me out to be a poor single mother, and when they asked him why he waited 11 years to file for custody, he said he was trying to give me time to get my act together. My son is well taken care of. Always dressed, hair always styled, fresh haircut, clothes galore, shoes galore, well fed, no abuse, no neglect, no CPS cases, no missing days of school, A's and B's, clock it. So, what exactly could he say and do to get himself physical custody and put me on child support? It's literally so much, y'all. I'm gonna have to come back and I'm gonna have to make a part two. Now, if you're on here to troll me and act like I'm gonna try to get a backstory without going into too much detail because it'll be too long, but I'll answer those questions in the comments. So, long story short, I found I was pregnant when he had been gone to the military for about 2 weeks. I was already 5 to 6 weeks pregnant. Now, initially, he kind of was like, okay, yeah, you're going to have to move here. We're going to have to get married. And I don't want to be on child support. That was a red flag to me because no one had ever even mentioned child support. But in his head, automatically, you go on child support if you have a kid out of wedlock. So after about a week, he started getting really, really mean. He started basically telling me I have to get an abortion and he's not going to be there for the kid. He doesn't want to be contacted at any point. Then he would come back and say, okay, well, let's pick out baby names. And then he would tell me, no, I don't like that name. And if you don't name him what I want to name him, then don't give him my last name. Because of the way he was acting, I did go ahead and screenshot a lot of those text messages during my pregnancy. One I remember, and I still have, said, I'm not going to be here, for this kid. And basically said, if you ever try to seek child support, I'm going to take you to court, get the kid, and put you on child support. All while trying to make me have an abortion, you're still threatening to take me to court for the kid that you don't want. And that you said you could never love because you didn't want. Hindsight, looking back, why would I want to have a baby with someone like this? But truthfully, I was more afraid of having the abortion than I was of being a single mother. I'm going to find out he was reconciling things with his ex, and me being pregnant would have messed up his plan, I guess. Now, he didn't come to the birth, but after a few months of my son being here, he came into town to meet him for the first time. And then that's when we added him to the birth certificate because he did offer to put him on his military's insurance because it was free. So he would come into town like every 3 months or so, like when there was a holiday weekend or something like that where the military would give them like an extended weekend. But he wouldn't stay still long enough to spend any real time with them or create any type of bond. He would be basically coming into town to visit his old friends and girlfriends. He ended up cheating on the girl that he left me for and dating someone else in the military, and then they ended up getting married. Now, once they started dating and once he came into town, that's when he started spending more time because I'm assuming you were trying to impress her and make her think that you were an active dad. Once he got married, he increased his involvement, coming into town more, getting him more, even starting to get him like on holiday breaks and for summer visitation. He even told me like, hey, since he's going to be here for the summer and he's going to come back for Christmas or Thanksgiving, how about I just do his cleanings here and his doctor's appointment? I'm thinking, cool, one less thing we have to do while he's here. That's fine. He's on his insurance. It's easier for him to use his military insurance than it is with me because they don't give them insurance cards, and I just have to have a lot of his personal information in order to, get services. So when he's with me, we're basically focusing on therapy, school, life skills, and we would kind of save our fun for the weekends. But when he's with his dad during the summer, it's pretty much fun, camps, vacation, and some extracurricular activities. So at this point, we're co-parenting really well. He's going with him for the summer now. He's going with him for some holidays. He's even flying in, for his birthdays. He's attended some school events and field trips with us, and things were good. Now, he would compliment me often, thanking me for being a great mom, apologizing for his behavior in the past, admitting that he had a lot of dad guilt, and even saying at one point, like, I wish I would have just stayed with you and gotten married and basically raising our son together. And I think him not being here and our son having a few challenges really bothers him. But, I just told him, like, hey, I've let the hurt go. Let's just move forward. We have a good co-parenting relationship, and let's just make sure that he gets everything that he needs. Now, his sister did tell me that I was a big issue in their household. Apparently, his wife had went through his phone and saw where he was being overly communicative with me, and where I would either not respond or I would kind of blow him off. So she knew that it wasn't me, but she was more so upset with him. But I was the problem. To clarify the timelines, this is like the later years, 8, 9, 10. My son is 11 now. So around 3, I got my son evaluated because he wasn't really speaking and his motor skills wasn't really developing as they should for his age. So he ended up qualifying for a speech, OT, and PT, and I put him in a developmental preschool. He ended up testing out at 5 years old, where he went on to go to a regular school because he had met all of his goals. Now, he wasn't diagnosed with anything at that point because he was too young to diagnose. So when he was in the second grade, he started having like behavioral issues where he would have meltdowns in class when he would get overwhelmed, or if he didn't know something, or if it was just something he didn't want to do. We were urged to go ahead and get him reevaluated and see, if we could get a diagnosis. Well, in the state that we live in, we had a shortage of therapists and we had a 2-year waiting list for testing. So when he went for his dad over the summer, and I believe this was during COVID, he was able to get him in right away in the state that he lived in. So that summer, he was diagnosed with autism level 1. So once he gets back home, I try to set up services for therapy. And then I find out, like I said, that we had a 2-year waiting list. There was a shortage of therapists. And there was no place he could go to receive the services. The places that were available were schools for disabled children. And I was told that he wasn't high enough on the spectrum. His autism is mild. He has mild symptoms, so it wouldn't benefit him by being in that environment. Now, we had been in contact with the clinic by my house, and we were waiting for my son's name to come up on a waiting list, but we kept checking in, and they just kept telling us that there's a wait. Well, his dad did use his military privilege and basically got it shortened, and we were able to get him in. So he started his ABA therapy, where they assisted with coping skills and helped me as a mother to help him with cool down strategies, which we used to kind of help him in moments where he felt overwhelmed. He did test out after about a year or so, and he was no longer eligible for services. Something that stood out to me is that anytime we were on the Zoom calls with the ABA therapist during the parent meetings, he would always say, oh, well, yeah, he doesn't do that in my house, and I don't have issues at my house. Yeah, that's not a problem of mine. And that was concerning to me because he was making it seem as if the problems were only at my house. But his sister had already told me that some of these behaviors were seen when she visited him, but his dad just didn't address it. He would sweep it under the rug, or he wouldn't let other people correct his behavior. Not really sure what that was about, but it did raise an eyebrow when he always constantly communicated that to the therapist. And while he was going to therapy, he was still having some behavioral issues at school. Most of them were related to his IEP. The certain teachers wouldn't follow the IEP, and if they didn't give him the extra assistance that he needed, he would then get lost and kind of shut down and wouldn't do the work. And I really just kind of want to clarify, when I say behavioral issues, he's not throwing stuff, he's not kicking desks, he's not acting out. He's just kind of isolating himself and kind of just crying, just like at his desk with his head down, he's crying. So at some point, we kind of realized that it was partly some of the teachers' fault because they weren't giving him the assistance that he needed. And we considered switching schools. Well, upon us discussing other schools, his dad started asking me about schools in the state that he lived in. And I'm like, that's not in his best interest. That's probably going to make it worse. And we should probably just kind of find a school here that can tend to his IEP. So one day his dad texted me and was like, hey, I was thinking nothing changes but his location. I can still send you money for child support and you can still continue to claim him on your taxes. I get offended because why on earth do you think money would change my decision when it comes to what's in the best interest of my child? So we go into this back and forth, and he tells me, well, legally, I have just as much right to have him as you do. Now, he has always asked me not to put him on child support or not to do anything court ordered. And now you're threatening to take legal action against me. Not because I'm a bad mother, or not because, there's a parenting issue, simply because you want him with you. And I want to just clarify, these behavior issues weren't often, but they would occur. And instead of him just even having a simple conversation with him and kind of just working with me together and we talk to him together, he would kind of just tell him, hey, you got to listen to your mom, you got to listen to your teacher. And his only solution that he would have to offer is, well, just send him to me and I'll raise him. And I would kind of have to tell them this isn't a parenting thing. I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do. Like, there are certain things that he's going to struggle with, and we just have to keep reminding him, redirecting him, and helping him with his coping skills. Again, he's level 1 on the spectrum. So therefore, it's really just social skills, and he would get emotional and be a crybaby sometimes. And I know some of you are going to think like, okay, well, if he's having...
All right, hey, everyday people, man. I'm before I even go so far into this, because I know this is where this is about to go, and I know everybody's not gonna like this, especially not this mama. But but has any woman ever thought about letting a father raise his son? Could, like, I don't even think he's being malicious at this point, but he's letting you know that he wants to raise his son. You've been raising him all this time, and I think I can help. You've had him every day for his entire life. I come in and visit. I want to spend a life with my son, and she's not willing to do that now. And that's just what I see. I don't know these people. And I'm not saying what she's doing is wrong, or because he has a special needs or whatever the case may be. If he does have a special needs and the father wants to raise him, that gives, like, hey, let me put some of this on you. Not let me put some of this on you, but you could just take care of your son. It's your son. Like, regardless if he has a special needs or if he's a child that doesn't require special assistance or whatever. Do y'all women ever think like, you know, he could raise his son or he could raise his daughter, you know? And it's shout out to Brittany Capricorn. She says, yes, I think at a certain age it's very important that a boy be more around their father. Exactly. But what about a daughter though? What about a daughter? I can't raise my daughter. And to set the record, she's in the other room. But just to say that a man can't raise his child is crazy. And I'm not saying she's crazy. I'm just saying, yeah, okay. So, K. Irene says, not in this case, PJ. He didn't want him at the very beginning. He continued to tell her, okay, I get that. I totally get that. But things change. Things change. All right, I'm gonna respect y'all's opinion, and maybe I'm overstepping in her lane. But what I'm just saying is, just sometimes let the father be a father. That's all I'm saying. I'm not ruling on this case right here. We finna listen. Let's get back into it.
Having behavior issues, then why not send him with his dad? He's a boy. He needs to be around his dad. Dad needs to help raise him. I get that. And I do understand. And I agree that when he was about 14, 15, then maybe we could revisit that subject and he can come then when he was ready. My biggest concern about sending him with his dad is that he regresses a lot when he comes back with him from the summer. He would come back, speaking like he's 5 years old in this tone to where how they speak to him. They speak to him like he's a very young kid, and I don't think they really understand or know him how I know him. Like, he's a very mature, very smart kid. So when I say autism, I don't want to confuse you all because he's level 1. He's low on the spectrum. So you wouldn't know it right off the bat, even by talking and speaking with him. He's just a little socially awkward, and sometimes he gets overwhelmed and has trouble with his emotional regulation. Well, his dad kind of treats him like he's incompetent, and they speak to him very slow, like he doesn't understand, and he falls into that role. He acts just like they treat him. So because I know his areas of weakness, those are the areas that I tend to focus on. So becoming more self-sufficient, his social skills, just his confidence when it comes to doing stuff, and how he speaks and articulates himself. I tell him, like, look him in their eyes, speak loud, speak strong. So he tends to shrink himself a lot when he's with them. It's like they give him his voice instead of letting him express himself and his emotions. So he's not comfortable really being himself. So he just is whoever they think he is or how they treat him. That's kind of the personality that he adapts. So because I know my son's true identity, I truly believe that it's in his best interest for him to be with me until he is able to be confident in who he is, regardless of where he is, and to continue to shape and mold him until he's ready to go with his dad. And I have spoken with him about that, and he has expressed himself, and he's like, no, like, no, I don't want to, I like being with my dad. I like going there. It's fun there, but I don't want to live there. You get what I'm saying? So I'll get more into the trial and how this all came about in part 3, and then we can wrap it up. I lost custody of my son, part 3. Now, I know that this is a lengthy story time, but I'm really trying to be mindful of just making sure I give enough detail, but not go too detailed, because it really is a lot to process. I'm really trying to be fair in a way that I kind of credit both sides of the co-parenting dynamic. Not really going into too much detail on my part, just because if you know, like being a mom and being a single mom, it's a lot of work. I mean, I don't even know where to start to kind of explain what a day in a life is in 11 years in. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm really thinking that the life speaks for itself. I don't have receipts on everything I've done because I wasn't keeping receipts. I've just been parenting authentically. I wasn't being calculated. Like, I didn't think that I would ever need to keep receipts on what all I do for my child on a day-to-day basis. One more thing I need to clarify. I haven't always been single through this process. I did have another son. I was in another relationship. And this is around the time where he increased his involvement. That's when he started getting him for the summer. Now, on to the important part. This is the part what shifted, everything. And this is where he had me served. We went to court, what that process was, and why the judge ruled in his favor. So we had the conversation about him wanting him to move out of state to go to school. That was about March of last year. So he actually flew in and came to a field trip. We went to Silver Dollar City. We all went together, even though I was supposed to ride down with him and my son, but at the last minute, he made me drive by myself and follow the buses 4 or 5 hours away. I thought it was weird, but I was assuming that his wife maybe had said something and there was an issue, so I just let it go. Once we got back to our state, he invited me out to dinner with he and my son, and initially I was like, no, y'all go ahead, I'm good, and I forgot what he said to kind of convince me. I'm just like, okay, fine. Well, he started asking me questions about, like, my relationship and who was I dating and what happened to me and my second child's father, like why we broke up. And it's not abnormal for him to be nosy, but he was really trying to get me to tell him, like, what caused the breakup and what happened with that. So here comes May, and he asked me if it was okay that my son get out of school early that summer and go with him because he wanted him to attend his wife's graduation. She was graduating med school. Now, they used to be stationed in a different state, but they relocated so that she can complete med school. No. Now, I'm thinking, like, if your issue is, his schooling and him and his challenges at school, why would you want to pull him out early? But he wants to be in control, so he reached out to all the teachers and seen if there was any work needed and said, okay, yeah, they said it's fine. I'm like, hey, whatever, do you then. Well, he ended up going with him for the summer. That was about in May. The beginning of June, I got a call from the school saying that, hey, his report card returned back to them and asked me, what my address was. So at this point, I don't think I had updated my address with the school, but we used to live like literally right up the street from the school. We ended up moving. So when I gave her my new address so she could send me the report card, she was like, I don't think he's going to be zoned for here next year. And I'm like, oh, wait, so like, what do I do? She was like, I don't know. You may have to, reach out to the school district and see if you can do like school choice. I think I said that I thought that there was school choice, basically where you could pick the school that you want your kid to go to regardless of the zone. I forgot what that whole thing was, but since his dad likes to kind of pull his weight a little bit, I was like, hey, they said he might not be able to go to the school next year. Can you, work your jelly and reach out to the school? So this time he was kind of like hesitant. He kind of was like dismissive. He was like, man, that school, this and that. Anyway, at this point I realized like he's not really trying to assist at all with any more school in Arkansas. So I'm like, okay, don't worry about it. Like, I'll reach out. I'll figure out what I need to do. So about a week after that, I had reached out to him to ask him a question, and he didn't answer right away. And it took him like 4 or 5 hours to call me back. And that was weird because he's usually pretty responsive. So when he finally did call, he kind of was just a little dry. And I noticed a shift in his mood, but I didn't really say anything. And I just left it at that. Now, either a few days later or about a week later, I ended up getting served. Basically for establishment of paternity and for custody and child support. I'm blown away. I'm flabbergasted at this point because what the fuck? So basically, he was screening my calls until he can confirm whether or not I had been served. So he was hesitant on answering the phone for me. So when I finally did get served, I reached out to him and I called him like twice. He didn't answer. So at this point, I'm like freaking out because is this real? Like, huh? So I reached out to my son on his phone and he didn't answer right away. I called him again on FaceTime and he answered and he said that they were like making lemonade or something. I'm like, where's your dad? He was like, oh, he's in there. And I'm like, okay, can you take him on the phone? Now, I didn't have my camera turned on and I was like so shaken. I was just like, so he got on the phone. He kind of sounded like shaking. He's like, hello? And I'm like, what is this about? What you talking about? What you talking about? He's kind of like moving, like going to a different area. You can tell he was kind of like fidgety. And I'm like, why would you have me served? Like, really? Like, you really did that? He was like, what do you mean? And then it's like he started fidgeting as if and motioning for someone to maybe bring him another phone or his phone. He basically said he's not trying to take him, but he's trying to put him in school where he is. So at this point, I'm like, we just had this discussion. Like, we had a conversation about this and we've talked about this. That's not in his best interest. So what he did was he basically said, well, did I not try to talk to you? And did you not curse me out? At this point, whoever brought him the phone and he's recording. So I see what you're trying to do now. I don't want any part. You're trying to trigger me to get a reaction. And I'm not even for it. So I'm just stay calm. I said, it's fine.
He did all
let me
that
just
for
speak
court.
back to
Just
our
show
son.
he trying to show you unhinged.
I just didn't say nothing else to him. So my son got the phone. He went back to his room, and I'm just like, hey, I really don't know what's about to happen right now, but, I'm going to make sure you get back home. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, your dad wants you to stay in Maryland. Like, do you want to stay there? And he was like, no, like, I just, want to keep it how it is. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to make sure you get home. He didn't really know what I was talking about at the time, but, he found out later exactly what I mean. And we've had discussions like this before. He already let me know that he wasn't interested in living there. Like, he'd like to go to visit because it's fun, but he doesn't want to live there, you know? Okay, no crying on the internet. Oh. So basically, since he thought that I wasn't going to be able to enroll him in school in Arkansas, he saw the perfect opportunity to go ahead and try to get him positioned to enroll in his state. Well, little did he know, he was kind of grandfathered in. So even though we moved out of the district, he was still able to attend. Let me remind you that he had already started shifting the responsibilities by offering to take him to doctor's visits and dental visits while he visited with him. So now you already have like records that you need in order to get him enrolled and make it seem as if he has been a resident of the state. So at this point, I'm freaking out. Like, I realize that he's not going to send him back. He's going to keep him there, find a way to petition the court and basically get custody while he has him in his possession. So at this point, I'm like freaking out. I'm reaching out to all these attorneys and I'm speaking with so many of them. The retainer fees are pretty expensive. Remind you that I had just gotten my car fixed for $5,000. The transmission had went out. And I also had just had a pop-up shop. So I had spent almost like $4,000 on inventory. And I was waiting for that money to come back. So I speak to this one lady in particular. I mean, I give her the whole rundown, the background story. I give her the current situation. She asked me, were we married? You know, what was his involvement? And she told me, like, yeah, no, he can't do that. Like, of course, you know, we can represent you. And does he have an attorney? And I'm like, yeah. And she was like, who is it? So I go and find the paperwork that he had served me. And I look and I go, are you all? And she like, yeah. I was like, you represent him? And she's like, oh, what's his name? And I told her, and she was like, yeah, I'm sorry, like, yeah, we can't represent you. And then she started getting like real kind of shaky in the voice, and she basically told me like, yeah, no, I can't help you. I can refer you to somebody. And she was trying to kind of end the call because clearly there had been a conflict. You weren't supposed to speak to me because you already represented him. And so at this point, I'm basically trying to figure out like what attorney I'm going to use. I had spoken with so many of them. I'm just trying to find the best fit and who I felt confident with. At this point, I believe it's about a week or two from the time I got served. Mind you, I think I have to respond within 30 days. So on this particular day, this is kind of what led to the judge's ruling. So I went to text my son good morning, and his location services is shared with me. His location services says our city and state. And I'm like, is this accurate? Because I haven't been made aware that he is in town. His dad didn't tell me that they were going to be in town. Hadn't really talked to my son much because he wasn't really responding. Of course, now his dad is barely, I think he maybe sent me a picture of my son, but since I had been served, not really that communication from that part. So I click on the location and it shows that they're at the hotel where they typically stay when he's in town and when he's coming to get them. So at this point, my spidey senses are tingling. I'm like, what is he up to? What's his motive? Because why wouldn't you tell me that he was in town? I hadn't seen him in a month and a half at this point. They never come into town while he's been going with him for the summer. So this is an opportunity where I can see him during the summer. So that's something he would have communicated to me usually, but he didn't. So I continued to basically track his location just to make sure that I wasn't tripping like this is real time. And he was kind of like navigating, through the area. And when I went to check it around my lunch break, so around noon, it said no location found. At this point, I'm kind of in a panic because I know that, you don't have a good motive. Because why are you trying to hide the fact that he's in town? They never come into town, during the summer. So why wouldn't you want me or even want him to see me? That's strange. So I'm reaching out to my tribe, just to get confirmation, like, is this weird? So they were like, yeah, that's strange. You might want to go check on your son. Like, that's normal for a mother to be concerned and want to check on their kid. So at this point, I'm intending on going to see my son when I get off work to check on his well being and even talk to him and maybe ask him, like, do you want to go with your dad or do you want to stay home? And so I reached out to his ABA therapist because he had to pause his services. He was due to test out in August, but since he was gone for the summer, he was going to miss all that time before. So I reached out to her to see, like, hey, if he wanted to come home and I got him home early, like, could he go ahead and start back the services? And she's like, oh, yeah, sure, it's fine. I'm like, okay. I'm going to, see if he'll be coming home and then I'll call you back. Okay, so this is where things kind of take a left turn. So I go to the location where I last seen my son. My friend accompanies me and my cousin as well. I just kind of wanted some witnesses because at this point, I don't trust anything and I don't want anyone to manipulate the story, the interaction, and I don't want anybody to become physical with me because I'm not coming here to be physical. I'm coming here to check on my son. So when I see my son, he's actually out, he's getting outside of the vehicle and he is standing on next to the building up on the sidewalk looking down at his phone. His dad is like at valet and his stepmom I think was like maybe doing something. And so, my friend approached with me basically to kind of explain like why I was there while I talked to my son because I knew just by how things were going, they were going to be hesitant on me speaking with him. So I approached my son. He like smiles, like, looking like, Mom, what are you doing here? And I'm like, hey, talk to me. Like, why are you not answering your phone? And so she sees me talking to Austin and she starts getting his dad's attention. So at this point, his dad is like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, hey, I'm talking to him. And so he's like, oh, hey, what's going on? And I kind of started walking like, let me talk to him because my cousin and my friend were kind of just explaining like, hey, just let her talk to him. She's not doing nothing wrong. Let her speak with him. So as I'm walking with my son, he starts yelling and recording, hey, this is kidnapping. This is kidnapping. Well, you can't do that. I'm like, I'm not, I'm bringing him back. And at this point, my son went from smiling to kind of a little fearful because he don't really know what's going on. I'm his mom, but at the end of the day, he's been told he's been kidnapped. So he don't know, what type of time I'm on. So he starts kind of like snatching back, like, Mom, like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? And so I'm explaining to him, like, hey, just talk to me. We going right here, and I'm going to bring you back. No, she's not. No, she's not. Hey, this is kidnapping. At this point, he's yelling kidnapping in front of this hotel. So you have all these random people pulling out their phones thinking that I'm just a strange lady coming to kidnap a kid. Crazy. So at this point, I don't want to end up on social media, coincidentally, still here, but we started walking like across the street. I'm trying to get away from the cameras, and my friend and my cousin was just basically explaining to the people like, hey, no, you can put your phones down. That's his mom. Like, he's visiting his dad, but that is his mom. And so you can hear the wife saying like, oh, no, that's his son. That's his son. She can't do this. She can't do this. So at this point, I'm trying to walk my son across the street to get away from the cameras, and he has his phone pointed in our face, basically recording, saying, kidnapping, this is kidnapping, and he's gonna get took now. And I'm telling my son, like, I'm trying to talk to you, and I'm gonna bring you back. No, she's not. At this point, we make it across the street, and my
All right, everyday people, man. I just want to let y'all know I know these situations every time that we hear a story time. The person who's telling the story, it's in a calm voice, but in at a time like this, the person's like, "Hey, chill out." There's voices being raised. She's just telling a story, so things may not be communicated as we expecting in this story time. She's probably not yelling, but she's probably telling, "Hey, chill out. I'm doing this." I can talk to my son. I can talk to my son. You need to man, she giving it back to him like, what are you doing? And so people are recording them arguing. And that's why she says she don't want to, because yeah, if I'm just trying to have a conversation with my kid, I'm trying to do that because y'all don't know unless you've been in this situation. Unless you've been in this situation, you don't know. You sit there, man. Transparency moment. I've sat with a parent of my child and had a conversation, and the mom is just sitting over there. This. I said, you know what? We can't have a conversation if she's just sitting here doing all this nonsense. I can't talk to you and tell you because all this person is doing is manipulating your mind, and you don't see that. But once you get away from all this bullshit, you gonna see this. Like I'm not even here for this. Like I can go home. And guess what? That's what I'm finna do because I don't have to deal with this person. And she should have did that. She should have just been like, hey, you know what? You deal with it. Cause watch. And all else fails, the truth will come out. The truth will come out. Don't be over there fighting in public with somebody because what they doing. You know what I found out? Mother had her mama in the back peeping around the corner recording, and I didn't know this. But they was looking for me to do some dumb shit. They was looking for me to argue. They was looking for me to trip, and I was just like, man, I don't have to deal with this bullshit. Deal with your mama, peace. And I dipped. You know what? When push came to shove, guess what they tried to do? Look at him. Look at him. This is him. And they showed the video, and I was like, wow, that's crazy because I didn't even trip. And now y'all trying to make it seem like y'all trying to switch the narrative, but y'all not showing the whole video where I left and didn't argue with it. Just be like, don't, because they want you to be like, oh, you controlling the narrative. You trying to, no, I'm trying to get away from you because I can't talk to my daughter over your mama. That's what they try to do. This is what they try to do. They try to. So she probably really was like, hey, y'all playing the game. I'm not listening to this shit. And they recording that, trying to do that. So I get it. It ain't just peaches and cream. When she telling this story, it's a whole other situation. Not saying that she wrong. I was just saying it's a whole other situation.
And my cousin and my friend are present. He's being like a little aggressive because he's angry at this point. So my cousin tells him like, just don't hit them or anything. Make sure, you don't harm them. And he was like, man, this ain't what you want. And he's like, huh? Because he wasn't threatening him. He was just trying to make sure that we didn't get hurt in the midst of his anger. So at this point, he's still recording. He starts yanking my son's arm, yanking it so hard to where my son and I fall on the ground. So we're on the ground. Nobody's really intervening because I don't think anybody really wants to get too involved, just because of the situation, which I understand. But once he started heading back towards his vehicle, I'm like, oh no, like I'm getting in this car and we're about to go because I don't know what you're about to do at this point. So we get in the car and my friend starts driving off. They come from across the street and jumped in front of her vehicle and started trying to push the vehicle back into the parking spot. And at this point, we're definitely getting out of here because I don't know what you're on. You're being very weird, very aggressive. I didn't know what to do in that situation. So I'm like, the best thing I know how to do is get to safety and I'll call the police and I'll report this incident like once I'm home. So at this point, we leave. We end up getting pulled over by the police. They reported a kidnapping. So they think that I'm just a random lady that has kidnapped a kid. So they asked me a few questions, of course. Found out I was the mother. Asked me like, were you all ever married? Does he have custody? Has he petitioned for paternity or anything like that? So answered all those questions. They're like, hey, no, that's your kid. Take him home, calm him down. Cool. At this point, my son is calm. And I'm like, why were you like pulling away from me? He was like, I was confused. I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, okay, well, are you okay now? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to go back? He was like, no, I think I just want to stay home. I'm like, okay. I'm just making sure, like, I don't want to make you do anything that you don't want to do. He was like, no, yeah, I want to go home. So we went home. Once we get home, he gets settled in his room. He's back to normal, like everything is all good. I do talk to him just to make sure like he's not shaking up or anything. Give him a little bit of the situation, not too much. And he was just like, that what you were trying to tell me when you called me when I was still at my dad's house? I was like, kinda. He was like, yeah, I don't want to go there. And I'm like, well, when do you want to go back? He was like, maybe for Christmas. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's what you want to do, then you can stay home. And I asked him, I said, well, did your dad tell you that, you were going to see me? He said, well, I asked him if I would get to see my mom while he was here. And he said, maybe. So for the next few days, he started like texting me, requesting the return of his son and sending these crazy text messages. They had sent the police over to my house to do a wellness visit. The police was like, yeah, I figured it was some drama behind it because it didn't make sense. The wife and his sister was basically calling to request a wellness check. Apparently, he was in town for a promotion in his hometown, so they were going to be here for the next couple of days. So he kept sending texts basically requesting visitation of his son and to have him return to him. I basically responded and I said, he has expressed that he wants to stay here and we'll handle the rest at the temporary hearing. So at this point, things have escalated. I don't really know how to move forward. I need to retain an attorney so I can seek some representation and get some legal advice. So I limit some of my communication, but I still allow him to speak to his dad and everything like that. But visitation was paused until temporary hearing. So this situation itself made a huge impact on the verdict. So I think I'm going to cut it off here and I'm going to make a part 4. So the fact that a few people, mostly men, feels like the story is unbelievable, I must be lying, that makes it even worse to me because is it that bad to where y'all think I'm lying about it? Is it that unbelievable? Because
I just want to answer this. No, we don't think it's unbelievable, but men go through so much crap trying to see our kids that for a woman to be like, oh, the man is doing this, and we like, man, he's just trying to be in his son's life. That's all he want to do is be in his son's life, whether he has autism or whether he's just a child with no diagnostics or diagnosis. He wants to be in his son's life. But I don't know. I guess having a disability makes it a little bit more complicated. But had he not had a disability, would you be willing to, like, oh, you can have? See, that's the disconnect between me and right now watching this video and saying this man just wants to be a father to his son, and you're not taking your titty out the mouth. That's the only thing. But other than that, I see where the disconnect is. He has a disability. He might need a little bit more special attention. But the father still has rights to be with his son. And I think if he genuinely wants to be with his son, I mean, 11 years is good enough. You could still have your time with him, but y'all have to communicate that just the same way he had to do it prior to him having the son full time. It got to be both ways, and he got to act like he want to let his mom be in her life for the same amount of time, both ways. Y'all both got to grow the fuck up, pretty much, and y'all got to get his wife out the way. That's what it is.
Because why would I literally get on here and air out? Okay, y'all. So I had to take a little break. I did get overwhelmed because, of course, the situation and then all the comments. And I really wasn't expecting that much of a response. But I do appreciate everybody who has shown empathy towards the situation and had given me advice. I think a few people are still a little bit confused, mainly because I didn't lose full custody. I lost physical custody, meaning he has to move 13 hours away from his home, like his primary residence, for a long amount of time, longer than he's used to going for the summer. But now he's going to be there the entire school year. And it's not something that he wants. It's not something that I feel is in his best interest, just because of what he has kind of communicated as far as his reason for wanting to stay home and not wanting to be there. So it's just very unfortunate. But I did kind of want to address some things, and I'm gonna still finish up the rest of the story, but it's some things I want to address before I go there. And he is home. He did just make it home Sunday, so I've been able to spend some time with him for the summer. And I'm doing this, of course, while he's not around, because I want him to remain neutral, and I don't want him to sway him in any way. I want his thoughts and his feelings to remain his, so that I know that they're genuine, and that they're his thoughts, and I didn't sway him in my direction. I really want to know what you feel and how you think and what you want. So there's that. In regards to the wife, I'm pretty sure there is some type of ill feeling towards me, because there has been instances where she's found out that he has been like reaching out to me or overly communicating with me. And back when they first got together, like shortly after they had gotten engaged, there was a moment in time where he was deployed, and he was basically trying to convince me that he was having cold feet, and he was considering backing out and being with his family. So he wanted me to be sending him pictures and stuff. And I'm like, ask your fiance. He's like, well, I want it from you and this and that. And come to find out, I think they actually ended up already being married. They do the little sneak military marriage thing, because her name on her uniform had changed from his to hers. So that ended up causing a lot of drama. And during that time, he basically said that he would unalive himself if I told her. And I just feel like, if your go-to is to always say that you're having thoughts of unaliving other people and then unaliving yourself, like, let's kind of touch on that. Like, we probably need to visit the mental health thing. I didn't really make it too big of a big deal, because I didn't feel like my son was in harm. But if we're talking about what's in the best interest of the child, I think mental health should be included in that. He and I had gotten to a place where we were cordial. We were co-parenting, okay. I had gotten back from a flight from Jamaica, because my sister had got married there, and my bags with my wallet in it had got stuck in Atlanta. So they told me that they had to get it here in Arkansas. So anyway, I reached out to him and I let him know, like, hey, I need to get some lunch for the week. Like, do you mind, because I did have my Cashapp card, because that's what I was getting my snacks and stuff with. And so he was like, cool, no problem. I'm like, I'm sending it right back. Like, I promise, as soon as the luggage hit. Cool, no problem. Later on that night, I get a call from who I thought was my cousin, because she has the same name as his wife. And I answered the phone on like, hey, girl, what's up? And it was her. And she's like, hey, I know we don't talk often, but, I did just want to come to you, like, as a woman, because, he had told me that he sent you, this money for this and that. And, I don't think it's appropriate for you to be asking.
Hey, Barbara, this is Shirley.
She wanted to know, like, if there was a relationship that she wasn't aware of. And I'm like, what? Well, first of all, no. Second of all, like, I'm well within my rights to ask the other parent, if there's something that needs to be done regarding our child, because I don't even ever ask for anything outside of the set amount that he was providing me. So it was just like, to me, it wasn't any big deal. But I guess, if you already have your concerns or suspicions or whatever, then, you're gonna be on edge. So I didn't know like it was a whole thing. But when we were getting off the phone, I think I heard him like walk in, but he never said anything to me. So I'm like, what was that about? And the next morning I text him like, what do y'all got going on? He's like, what do you mean? And come to find out, he didn't even know that she called. He was pissed, like, oh, she doesn't have the right to be calling you, and you're my son's mother, and if you need something, and you don't have to hesitate to ask me this and that, and if she don't like it, she can get up in divorce. And I'm like, whoa, I didn't intend for it to go that way. Like, I don't want any problems. Like, I could have took another route had I known. Like, he like, no, this and that. And at that point, I'm like, oh yeah, it's some other stuff going on. He ended up texting me again and apologized and was like, I'm going to be honest, like, we're having marriage issues. And I'm like, I figured that just because some of the stuff he had started saying to me, and I'm like, it's flirting. Like, he just was kind of saying some things that you probably shouldn't be saying to me if you're married. And it just was like really weird and kind of awkward. But then it started making sense. So, needless to say, apparently, that is still an issue. I'll go ahead and start to tell the story from the situation that happened that kind of shifted things, and then also like the trial, and hopefully we can get to the end of that. But y'all, I'm doing this now kind of feels weird because it's giving me this false sense of ease and I saw someone say that I was like contradicting myself, and I'm just like, I lost custody of my son, part 4. If you haven't watched part 1 through 3, then stop this video and go watch those now. And if you have watched, I know your question is, okay, if you're such a good mother, then how did you...
Strap in y'all boots. I hope y'all got y'all popcorn ready. We're going to be here for the next 30 minutes.
So I left off at the part where I was able to get my son back in my care after he had been with his dad over the summer. So at this point, of course, his dad is mad. He's increased his communication. Now he's, calling. He's having random family members that our son doesn't even know, like, bombard his phone with all these text messages. Oh, just checking on you and glad you're okay. Can't wait to see you, as if he's in some type of danger, if he's in an unfortunate situation. And so it's kind of giving him anxiety. He's like not wanting to answer the phone. He's like not texting these people back because he doesn't know them. So now he was okay, after the situation and getting back home. But now he's kind of like, what is going on? Because he just feels like he's back at home. Part of the thing is you can't stop the communication between the child and the parent. So I tried to make sure that he was always available to answer his calls. Well, what he would do is he would call. If he didn't answer, he wouldn't reach out to me to say anything until like the second time where he didn't answer, or the second day he didn't answer. And then that's when he would send me this long message about how important it is for him to have an open line of communication with him, and he hasn't been able to get in contact, and just bull. Because I had already told him before, like, if he doesn't answer, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll make sure that he returns your call. He wouldn't do it. He would love to wait so that he could have the opportunity to send me messages like that for court records. Let me remind you that before this situation, he rarely called our son. Like, another thing that he did was sign him up for a space camp that wasn't cheap. And then he waited and said, how are we going to cover the remaining amount of this space camp? So basically, you were either trying to bully me into paying money for something that you signed me up for, or 2, wanting to get it in text that I was refusing to participate or pay for an expense involving our son. It was crazy because I had already communicated with my son, and he said he didn't want to go to space camp. He wasn't interested in space. So I didn't attend the meeting. He just came home randomly one day with a $500 receipt saying that his deposit for space camp was paid. So again, this is you trying to make it seem like you're the parent that's involved and I'm the parent that's not. So he played all these little mind games up until, of course, well, they never stopped, but the temporary hearing finally came, and we were granted temporary joint custody, and I was granted child support. Now, the child support that was supposed to be put in play was the amount according to the child support chart. Now, this was 60% more than what he's been paying me, and he never paid it. During that temporary time frame, he never paid it. He wouldn't even sign the agreement because he didn't want to make the payment. No one ever held him in contempt or anything. He was just able to slide by without doing it. He waited until the day before our first day of trial to submit or to pay the correct amount of child support so that he could show the judge, or when he testified, he said, yeah, so what I've done was, since, it's too late to kind of alter the allotment that I have in place, I kind of just supplemented the rest through a Zelle payment, which is what he did. He just Zelled it the morning before the hearing. So he also requested that we have an attorney ad litem. That is an attorney that they appoint for the child to figure out what is in the child's best interest. So this lady came out to our home. She visited with our son in his room. She basically asked him questions, asked him about the event over the summer. Just kind of got his feelings about like what he wanted and what his life was at home and what his life was at his dad's house, just to kind of get a feel for what was in his best interest. She ended up ruling in favor of him staying home and continuing visitations during the summer and every other holiday. They rejected her recommendation, and now we had to go to mediation. So in mediation, the attorney ad litem and the mediator goes between both rooms, between my attorney and myself and his attorney and him. Well, they go back and forth to try to see if you all can come up with a mutual agreement. Well, we couldn't decide because he wanted the entire summer, every holiday, and spring break as well, which he's never had before. And he didn't want to give me basically 2 weeks during the summer, every other holiday, and then spring break every 3 years is what we were agreeing to. The mediator is like, I don't know what this guy's expecting, but no judge is going to give him what he's asking for. He's lucky to even get 6 weeks during the summer, but every holiday is a stretch. They said you could walk in with an I hate judges shirt on and he still wouldn't win this case. So now I'm questioning, well, how did he win? So we go to trial. He testifies the first day. He was on the stand for about 4 hours, and it took so long because he was trying to duck and dodge the questions that could incriminate him. So my attorney would be asking simple questions, and he wouldn't even answer them straightforward. He just would wiggle around them, and we couldn't get to the next question until you answered the question fully. So he basically was trying to deny any evidence that we had against him, like screenshots and things as such, because of course I had like emojis and stuff at one point. So he's like, yeah, that's not me. One of them in particular had a selfie that he had sent me saying like, don't be mad at me, Lex, let's make a truce. I don't even know what the situation was. And he was like, you're my firstborn's mother, a damn good one at that. Nobody could never replace you. Okay. My attorney basically said like, hey, is this you in this thread? He's like, it appears to be. So he had him read the message and he was like, yeah, no, I'm not sure. These things get altered all the time. He wouldn't agree that he said that I was a great mother. And it was just like, that was so simple. You couldn't agree that you said that at some point. And he's like he's pointing to like the selfie at the top. He's like, is that not you? He's like, okay, lie number one. Then he presents another text thread and he's like, okay, would you say that this is you on the left, her on the right, or whatever? And he's like, it appears, but now he's like skeptical because he know he's already lied about that one. So he's like, yeah, I'm not going to say that that's me. He's like, this is your evidence. And now you look stupid because you're lying about your own evidence. Another lie he got caught in. He said that The night that the incident happened over the summer, they pulled up to the hotel, and as soon as their vehicle stopped, the back door opened, and he asked our son, like, "Hey, buddy, what are you doing?" And that's when a strange lady appeared and pulled him out of the car, saying me. He's trying to be strategic because he know that he was yelling kidnapping, kidnapping, and he knew that I wasn't kidnapping. And he basically said that, well, I only know about the laws in whatever state, that they live in. That's why he yelled kidnapping, because I guess that's what you're supposed to say. And it's like, this is his mom, and you do know that she wasn't kidnapping, right? So he testified that he agreed that he escalated the issue by yelling, kidnapping, kidnapping. He's going to get took now. He's going to get took now. So at this point, my son started like yanking away and things like that. And you basically made it seem like I was being the aggressor. And they played this video, and I clearly was calm, cool, and collected. And I was explaining to my son, I'm bringing you back. And he's yelling, no, she's not. No, she's not. While watching this video, he actually put his fingers in his tear ducts as if he was so distraught that it traumatized him. Now, this video was played at the end of the trial, so actually on day 2. But I'm kind of skipping ahead to kind of let you know why he testified in the way that he did, because he was trying to cover all of his tracks. He also only submitted part of the video. The part where he is yanking his arm until we fall on the ground, that's where the video ended. Now, he's halfway done with his testimony. Mind you, he's up there for, I think, like 4 hours. We take a recess. When I come back, everybody's kind of standing around the judge, and they're like kikiing, and my attorney is kind of standing back, and he's just like looking, observing. I'm like, what's going on? He was like, oh, they just found out that they're cousins. And I'm like, who? He said, oh, the judge and his attorney. I'm like, what the? And he was like, yeah, but he's already lied so much. I don't want to have to start this thing over, because it gives him time to backtrack. I don't think he'll be biased. I'm like, no, that don't sound right.
Conflict of interest immediately.
Right. But at this point, I don't really know my voice. Like, if my attorney is saying, like, well, Judge, I trust that you won't be biased, I don't know that I can say, oh, no, like, he needs to recuse himself. But he's supposed to recuse himself as well if he feel like he is going to be biased. Now, this is actually the second conflict of interest, because remember when I said that I was looking for attorneys, I did a whole consult with his attorney. So she already knew my stance and my side of things. So I just feel like if I had the consult with you, I gave you the whole rundown. I actually told you exactly what he was going to use against me, what he was going to say. He was like, oh, no, he's not going to be able to do that. How were you able to get it done then? So 3 of the teachers testified. 2 of them gave very good testimonies, non-biased, basically said that, they're both actively engaged, and mom comes to the school if he's having a rough day and kind of gets him back started. We can reach out to her on the phone and she'll speak with him. We can reach out to dad on the phone and he'll speak with them. Dad is volunteered for career day. Mom has attended like field trips. So the ABA therapist was a witness as well. She was both of our witnesses. They ended up releasing her as a witness, letting us use her, and then they weaponized her against us. The judge asked her, like, so would a mother abducting a child, would that impact the child in a negative way, like in a traumatizing way? She was like, I mean, I'm sure that it would, but she's like, what are y'all talking about? Because she had no knowledge of what they were talking about. But they were basically saying, well, oh, she told you that he was coming back into town early. Did she not tell you what she did? And she's like, no. And they kind of had her shaken up because they made her feel like she did something wrong. And so at this point, she's thinking that her job is in jeopardy because y'all tried to make it seem like she released him without, properly caring for him and didn't tend to this such a traumatic event when he wasn't traumatized by the event at all. He was traumatized by everything that came after the event, such as behavior from a parent that was unusual to him, like overly communicating and family members and things like that. And just the knowing that you're trying to uproot me from my home, that kind of is what has given him a little bit of anxiety. So when it came to my testimony, I think I did fairly well. Like, I answered everything truthfully. If I didn't know, I just said I didn't know or I didn't recall. I didn't have any reason to lie, so I just answered the questions. Now, of course, his attorney's job is to try to trip you up on things, but I just answered everything truthfully. A lot of the things that I tried to speak about, they would object to, and the judge would basically make me stop talking about it. And so that's why I feel like a lot of the things that I could have done and said and showed to help with my side of things kind of got disregarded. It's because you have to provide your evidence ahead of time. So it gives both attorneys the opportunity to kind of build their arguments, which I get. But they already knew that I had so much dirt on him, basically, that when my attorney basically asked specific questions to me, they already knew where it was leading, so they would object to it. And the judge would make me stop. But anytime my attorney did that to them, he would let them keep going. And I don't really know the law, but I don't know under what cause, but it just was kind of seeming like it wasn't really fair. My friend and my sister actually testified as well. Now, my friend was there as a witness, so she basically testified, same story I had, and which also proved that he lied, saying that I snatched him out of the car. My sister gave her testimony as well. Now, she acted like she was on trial for murder, so she was nervous. She didn't really hone in and give details on my parenting style and what she's observed. They actually even discredit them for saying that I helped him with his homework because they said that, well, they weren't in the house. Her friend said that they would be on the phone and they would say, oh, okay, well, we have to do homework and let's go. So they said that that's not good evidence. My other son's father testified as well. Now, he basically went up there and said, like, she and I co-parent well. We don't have any court orders in place either, but we have a working agreement, and if she needs anything outside of our agreement or I need anything outside of our agreement, we work with each other. I watched and witnessed her be a mother to her oldest son, which is, how she became my child's mother as well, because she was a good mom. They basically tried to put his character in question to make him uncredible. So his wife was a witness as well until I testified. After I testified, they released her as a witness so then she could come in and watch the rest of the trial. I feel like that was very strategic because y'all knew that if she testified, that some of this other stuff regarding their marriage and that relationship would be in question. So now you're in here with your military outfit looking like a happily married man, and y'all have these bank statements and things showing that you have 6 figures in your savings account and $40,000 in deposit over here. And it's just like, why did y'all wait until now to bring her in? Because y'all didn't want anything to come out? Because y'all were trying to protect him, his image, and his marriage. But then y'all painted me out to be this horrible person that abducted her kid. And my attorney was like, no, I think we did pretty good. He was like, but he's so bent on this summer situation. So he was concerned about that. So after we get all the testimonies done, we basically get sent home. Now, this is the second day of the trial. So, and they were 2 weeks apart. And they were both like full days, like 8 hours. And that's unusual for a child custody case. But he was so bent on this situation over the summer. So coincidentally, the verdict was reached one day before school let out. The verdict read that basically I had lost primary custody. We were granted joint legal custody. He was granted physical custody. Now, what this meant was, since he had the physical custody, he is now done paying his child support. That back child support denied you're on child support. And this is to take effect as soon as school ends. School was scheduled to end the very next day. So now I don't even have time to do anything or prepare or nothing. That was on a Wednesday. School ended on a Thursday. That night that the verdict came out, he sent the flight details, flew in to get him on Saturday. Now, during his testimony, he denied the fact that he turned off his location so that I couldn't see him, that he was in town. He said, "Oh, I don't have access to his location. I didn't do that to change that. I didn't do that." As soon as he left on Saturday, by Sunday, the location was turned off again. The verdict came out. My attorney sent it to me through an email. He was actually at a conference, so the message was just like, "Hey, I haven't had an opportunity to read this, but I did want to go ahead and send it upon receiving it," and he attached it. Now, I was at work, so I was kind of multitasking, and I just remember clicking on the attachment, and I skimmed through it, and it just seemed like, oh, the findings from his attorney, because it was also him coded. So I just thought it was just his attorney's argument from the trial. And then it wasn't until I got a Zelle payment from his dad, and it was the other part of the child support that he hadn't been paying. So I'm like, another random payment all of a sudden. I'm like, wait, what made him do that? So I go back to the email and I read it, and then I see oh, this is the final verdict. And I'm reading it and I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm driving with my son at this point, and I pull over and I'm reading it, and I'm just like, no, no, no. He's like, "Mom, what is it?" And I'm like, oh my gosh, y'all, I'm so mad. I'm so mad because I'm like, the language in it was just they referred to me as bare minimum parenting, highlighted everything he did, and basically minimized my participation. Made it seem like, oh yeah, she just, and said that because of that event over the summer, I am the high conflict parent, and said something about a pattern of high conflict, but only listed this one occasion. You have a breakdown of how many times he's able to see his son, how many times he's coming to town. Not once has there been a high conflict, a pattern. So
Told y'all.
I'm confused.
Told y'all that one
I'm
instance,
confused.
that one, it wasn't as cut and dry as she explained it. It was more to it. It wasn't bad. It was just crazy.
I'm still confused. It's like he copied and pasted everything his attorney said and requested. He granted it. He granted everything. They gave me nothing. It's not even and when I say nothing, I mean it wasn't even a fair verdict. It was all just one-sided. You couldn't, of course, just take full custody.
She better
because, again,
appeal that.
I'm not a bad mother.
Conflict of interest. Appeal it.
Now, after that verdict, I mean, I'm not even gonna lie. I just really started back eating, and I only ate once today. I'm still having heavy brain fog because I've been so stressed out. I talk for a living, you know what I'm saying? And I'm stuttering. That's why this story time is broken down into so many parts, and it's taking me so long because I have to pace myself. And I have to do it when I'm not emotional. So I've been having so much brain fog, been stuttering. I've been shaking randomly because I'm weak and I'm tired. I really thought that after a year, we were finally about to get some justice. I was finally about to get my life back. We were finally going to be able to go back to doing fun things, in good spirits, and not trying to force ourselves out of the house because, So now I'm sitting here and my life is completely dismantled, because not only did you uproot my child, you then put me in legal debt dang near, because at this point I've already paid dang near $10,000 in attorney fees. Now 2 days after 2 days of an 8-hour trial, my attorney rate is $300 an hour. The attorney ad litem has a rate as well. She has to be paid as well.
Oh, her attorney cheap. Cheap.
So even after this
Yes,
verdict and stuff,
my
there is
attorney
now still a bill
charged
that
me to tell
just
me
a
I owe
statement
them
just
money.
rolled in for it. Retroactive support denied. You are now on child support. How is that fair? How is that fair to me? How is that fair to Austin? How is that fair to my other son? They also stated that, well, yeah, he has a sibling at both houses, but his sibling at his mom's house spends time with his dad sometimes. His sibling at his dad's house lives in the same house as him, has the same last name, and they share a birthday, which they do, which is ironic as well. So the question is, how did I lose custody of my son? So a few days after he gets there, his dad requests a FaceTime visitation with me and them while they tell him the new news about his transition. So they tell him, and he's just like, oh. And he was like, how do you feel? He's like, I don't really know how to feel. He's like, well, it's okay. You don't have to talk about it right now. Then they say, well, Alexis, do you have anything to say? I said, well, how do you feel? He said, I don't really know. I have a lot of emotions. I said, well, you know how to communicate yourself. Just, how do you feel? He said, well, I kind of want to go to school in Arkansas, because I was finally going to go to school with my cousins, and we were going to be in the same grade and possibly even in the same class. And, I don't have any friends here. I don't know anybody here. And they were just like, well, your sister will be at this new school. And she's like a 6-year-old little girl. Like, that doesn't compensate for cousins that are his same age and his same grade that he's been raised up with, So it's like, why are you just now waiting to ask him how he feels? Because you never cared. My son is not okay. When he was with them immediately after the verdict for the 2 weeks before he came back home, he masked it, and, he pretended like he was just on summer vacation, and he had fun. He enjoyed, what they did. But immediately once he got home, he's like, Mom, is there any other thing that you can do? Is there any other thing like I can say? Like, I thought I would get to go to court. I thought I would get to say, what I wanted, and I thought I'd get to tell them the truth. So, because he asked me to, I'm going to keep on fighting it. Now I'm at the point to where I'm just trying to figure out, like, what steps can I take? I spent that very next day making over 100 calls. I talked to so many attorneys, had so many consults, and it really left me discouraged. Mainly because the cheapest appellate attorney is $10,000. The highest that I heard was $20,000. And then they're telling me there's no guarantee that it will be approved. So now I have to make a decision, because again, I still have legal fees due. Now you've reduced my income. Now you're taking income. And now I'm expected to pay $10,000 to $20,000 for an attorney, just to undo some injustice. a lot of y'all are just like, well, come on, take this as an opportunity to go live your life and go on vacation and just pay your child support and let his dad raise him. It's just like, after all that, how do y'all think a mother is going to be able to just do that? How do y'all think a child is going to be able to cope with the way that was done? And I had already told him, like, let's revisit this topic at like 14, 15. Why do you have to do things so forcefully? Because it's not about co-parenting. It's not what's in the best interest of the child. It's about control. I lost custody of my son. Finally done with my story time. Finally have the energy to comb my hair and trying to get back in here on like a lighter note and just say, I appreciate y'all for taking the time to listen to the story time, because oh my God, that was pretty long. I was annoyed at how long it was taking me to tell the story, but I felt like all the details were necessary. Of course, that wasn't even everything, but that was just the things that I could think of at the time. So he's here. We're going to spend the summer together. Hopefully, I can try to work on this in the meantime to get something done beforehand. We have filed a motion to reconsider, but it goes to the same judge. So the chances of that being approved, not sure. You basically have to tell them how they misapplied the law, which was obvious because you listed this one-time isolated event as a pattern of interference when this was an isolated event. It wasn't recurring. You listed all these times where he was able to see him and there was never an interference. Additionally, there was no court order in place. I wasn't in violation of anything. On top of that, I got him back into my possession after his dad became physical. So it's like, why am I the only one being held accountable for the event that happened? It was just like they had already decided who they wanted to win. And now at this point, we just got to figure out what we can do, which scenario, and what law can we apply to get the win. And there were so many things. This could have went in the opposite direction had the judge not abused his discretion. So definitely going to try to see what I can do on the back end about that. And as
All
far
right.
as
So she explains, let's see what she explains about what the judge had to say, or how the judge conflict of interest came about. So she about to explain that in this next clip.
in response to that comment, I am definitely filing complaints. I just find it very weird that the judge that was supposed to try the case wasn't able to try the case because of some changes that were going on at the beginning of the year. So this judge is actually a retired judge that they brought in as a specialty judge who just so happens to be cousins with my son's dad, attorney. That's just not sitting well with me. And then, of course, like I said, his attorney actually did a consult call with me until I realized that they were his attorney. So if you don't know how it works, anytime you call an attorney and do a consult, they have you provide your name, your information, so that they can take that information down. So that if the other party tries to call them to do a consult, they've already heard your side of the story. So therefore, they cannot assist the other person because there's a conflict of interest. He had already retained this law firm. When I provided them my information, they were not supposed to take my call. Not only did I speak to the paralegal, I got a call back from the attorney to do the consult. I did a full consult with her. It wasn't until I looked at the paperwork, she asked me, something about the paperwork, and I looked at the paperwork and I asked her, like, are you all so-and-so? And she goes, yes. I'm like, you represent him. So I feel like there was a lot of conflict of interest here. There were a lot of biases, and that impacted the case tremendously. I feel like if this same case was put in front of another judge, I feel like there would have been a completely different outcome.
I'm proud of you.
So y'all know how like the day. There are so many men in my comments that are dedicated to disagreeing. It doesn't matter if they stopped on part 1, watched parts 1 through 4. Some of them are dedicated to disagreeing. And I'm convinced that you all just like to see women suffer. And I don't really know what that's about. The negative comments from the women are most shocking to me, but then I realize y'all are the evil stepmoms and girlfriends that love to see the kids' moms out of the picture. And then there are people that are telling me to go on and go live my life, and I've done a good job this far, and just go on vacation and go back to school. And I'm like, are you a parent? At this point, I can still do pretty much everything I want to do. I got it now. Like, when I was trying to finish school back then, maybe I would have considered it. But I got it now. I've done the hard part. I know how to balance my social life, personal work life. I have it. So I don't need anyone to come and release me of my parental duties. People are also saying, okay, well, he's a boy. He needs to be with his dad. And there are certain things that dads can teach boys that women can't. And though I agree, but y'all remember when Boosie said, your mama had more heart than yo? Yeah. Yeah. There are so many men. So y'all know how like the dad running shoes are in, right? Well, I picked up some yesterday at Rob's, but they're Reebok. So I'm trying to see like, am I giving auntie? And I'm not doing anything major. I'm just going to the park and I'm going to be walking like around the trail. But I'm just trying to see like, is this going to be showing my age or not? Like, what do y'all think? Are they like the cool kind? Can I get away with them? Or they giving auntie? Let me know. So,
Them shoes is giving auntie, okay? Those is the I make potato salad for the
running
cookout
shoes are in, right? Well,
shoes,
I picked up
okay?
some
What are we
yesterday at
talking
Rob's.
about? She better not put, girl. Those are like the monarchs for dads, okay? Shout out to all the. Actually, I was at Ross today and I seen a pair of monarchs, and I was like, "That's a perfect pair of shoes that I'm gonna wear for the 4th of July." But actually, I got a bunch of pair of shoes that I'm gonna think about wearing for 4th of July. But these are I'm gonna just show y'all my honorable mentions that I didn't pick for 4th of July. But I'm gonna show y'all because y'all just need to show. Oh, should we do a shoe giveaway? Can y'all even hear me? Okay, y'all can hear me. So, honorable mention. Look at these. Ain't they a beauty? Just, it's a beautiful pair of shoes. Anyway, I'm not wearing those for 4th of July. I got something special. Um, I got something special for 4th of July. So just follow me on Instagram, everydaypj on Instagram, and then we're gonna get into it. Okay, so let's be serious for a second. Ooh, can we be serious for a second? Then we're gonna be serious for a second. All right. Ooh, child support, man. Hey, listen. I'm gonna tell y'all what, man. You know what? This is my take on her losing custody of her son and having to pay child support. You know what? Um, I would not fight so hard. I would not pay a bunch of money in court to get my child and then ask for child support. I won't do it. You, as a mother, should know how to support your child. You should already know what it takes to support your child. So, whether you give or don't give in child support, first of all, it's going directly to my daughter. But I should not have to tell you to pay child support. So, as a full time father, I don't ask for child support. Call me stupid or whatever, but I did not fight and I did not pay a bunch of money to take care of a kid that I can't take care of, that I need extra support. Only thing I need for you to do is to be a mother, to your child. That's it. And I think people use child support as a. That's why I say women use child support as a weapon. Now, if there's a father who's really not taking care of his child, by all means, put him on child support. But if you're doing it just because, oh, y'all broke up, then you need to pay child support. Also, there's also the instance, look, you have a father that's willing, able to take care of their kid, and the mother is being controlling, being irate, being a narcissist, being all this other stuff that we deem to be toxic, and y'all women defend this. Like how she's saying, I'm shocked that women are against this because some women ain't putting up with y'all bullshit. And there are women who actually hold grudges, do all this nonsense when a father can be in that child's life, when a father can actively take care of and participate in funding, feeding, picking up from daycare, uh, insurance, all that good stuff that you should get out of child support. If a father's able to do that and the mother's not allowing that because of her own narcissistic behavior, and then they put them on child support, you be like, at the end of the day, man, let's be real. See, when they told her, girl, you just pay your child support and go be on vacation. Bitch, I'm on vacation. Put me on child support. Okay? Put me on child support. My job gives me insurance for family. So it don't matter if I pay for 2 or 5, all of them on insurance, okay? Think about it like this. You want me to pay child support? You think you about to get $1,000 out of a person who makes $2,000 a month? Bring it home. Bring it home $2,000 a month. You think you about to get $1,000 in child support? You better get with 5 kids. You better check yourself. You better check yourself. Because if y'all think child support is a weapon, you are hurting your own damn self. Because now you gotta pick up this kid 5 days a week. Now you got every other weekend, every other holiday, that's that's the bare minimum. Child support is not a get back. It's only a come up if you meet an NBA player. There are only 300 NBA players in the world. It's only a come up if you meet an NFL players. Man, listen. If your person that you have a baby with is Marshawn Lynch, that's the only way you gonna be having a. He have a baby by an NFL player. That's a come up. Listen to what I'm saying. Anthony Edwards paid $1 million of the $500 million contract that he will receive over the next like 5 years. He paid $1 million over the $500 million that he will make over the next 5 years. He paid $1 million in child support for that kid for the next 18 years. Do the math, stupid. I'm not calling all y'all stupid. I'm just saying If y'all really think, bro, he just said, "Here, I'm paying $1 million to go on vacation for my kid for the rest of my life." Man, y'all got to be tripping. Child support is not a. You cannot raise a kid on child support. You need. You need. You need. You need. There's pickups. There's homework. There's cooking food. There's basketball practice, baseball practice, after school activities, going to skating with their friends, going to whitewaters, paying for the whitewater pass, paying, uh, uh, tampons, condoms, shoes, shoelaces, baseball gloves, baseball bats, baseball pants, baseball socks. Like, do I need to keep going? But you want to pay child, that you want that nigga to pay child support. I'm only be here for the next few weeks, okay? But I'm just saying, I know I know it's important. I know it's important. So your best thing is to do. Yeah, there's going to be some child support involved. I'm not saying that there's no child. Even if a father is active, the father still needs to maybe help out in some form or fashion. I get that. But go if you think going to child support is your first option, maybe you should try to co-parent first. Co-parent first. Make the co-parenting work. But you know where the co-parenting don't work at? As this woman said, her kid's father was trying to do more. And she was like, "No, I don't want you to do more. I don't want you to be more involved. I don't need you to be more involved. My kid has special needs, my da 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 da." She didn't want him involved. Well, let's back up. He didn't want to be involved in the first place, so I'm gonna give her that. But then when he was involved, she didn't want him to have too much control. Although he did have ulterior motives, but that is a son. If it would have been daughter, it would have been maybe a slight bit of change. But the fact that even if it was a daughter, for him to beat her, you should have. It's like there's some give and take in everything. There's give and take in everything, and I'm only speaking this because I'm a father. I I can't tell y'all how a woman think. I can tell you how a woman treated me. But if I do that, then you'll be like, "Oh, that nigga toxic." Yes. Am I messed up, traumatized by this whole situation? Yes, because I've been through child support court. I've been through child custody court. Man, think about it like this, man. I don't want to tear everybody business, but imagine going to child custody court with a parent that's jacked up, and then they making you take have supervised visitation, knowing that something egregious happened to this person, and they telling you, oh, because this person has a family structure, or they have like backing from their family, that the family is involved, that, oh well, she's okay because that family's okay. What does it have to do with me being a father? What does it have to do with me having supervised visitations? Like, yo, I ain't gonna lie, bro, I was arrested for cussing the judge out. She was like, "Sign this paper." I put FUCK in her name on the. Hey, man, if I had my Facebook from like a few years ago, y'all would see I went off on the judge. And you know what that got me? In trouble. Because that judge seen that. That judge seen that. I wasn't playing. I get dads aren't family. We are dads. You're the sperm donor. Shit. What you mean? Are you family? No, you not family. Boy, if you thought you was a family, you a goddamn lie. Y'all ain't family, man. You ask me shit. I ain't gonna lie. They don't want us in their lives, but that's not her situation. It's a lot that went on in her situation that's just like different. All I gotta say is like, man, I'm sorry she had to go through this, but like, bro, we be going through this shit all the time. We looking at, I'm gonna tell you, as a father watching this shit, we like, oh, now you see, now you see. I ain't lying, man, boy, we be going through it. Hey, check this out. Hey, I don't condone taking family away from kids, cause like on the real, I would never hold my kid from my mama or nothing like that. Like for what? For what? Because you know that's so dumb. That's so dumb. $1 million versus the price of a box of condoms. Oh God, I swear. Like I went to CVS one night and I went to go get some condoms. And I was like, damn, $38. $38 for the box of condoms. And I was like, it's only 24 in here. So I was like, damn, that's like $1. I was like, that's $1.20 something or $1.50 per condom. And then I got to think about this. I was like, well, there's the chance that you might catch something. Then there's a chance that you might get her pregnant. Because y'all know once you feel that wetness, hey man, phew, don't let the condom slip off. Ooh wee, baby coming immediately. So, just think about it, man. $38, man, buy a pack. I'll be here. It was a pack of 24. I'll be here in 12 days. Look at that. Boy, y'all lucky. This ain't PJ at nighttime because I was gonna put y'all up on game, but I ain't finna put y'all up on game. This ain't late night live. We can't go there this time. But man, let me know what y'all think about this crazy situation in the comments section. And maybe we'll do a late night live this weekend. And we'll talk about some of these crazy things that baby mamas and baby daddies doing. Um, Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Share this out to your friends. Follow me on Facebook, Everyday PJ. Please go follow me on Facebook, man. Cause I want to start getting lit over there too. Of course, you follow me here. We got to get it lit all the way around. And you know what? I would sure love to be taking calls on situations like this. Do anybody want to call in before I close out? Because if anybody want to call in, I sure will take one phone call. Just say you want to call in, and I'll take one phone call, and then because I want somebody else's opinion on this. By the way, shout out to the chat because y'all been keeping it lit all night or all day or evening. I'm gonna give y'all 30 seconds. I know I gotta let the chat catch up, but if y'all want to call in, put the number down. Let me get this ready, just in case somebody want to call in. Oops, I always do that. Just in case. Do anybody want to call in? Nobody said they want to call in. I'm gonna give y'all one chance to call in. We're gonna take it. And we gonna. Oh shit! Hold on. I messed up. Hold on. Let me get this over here. Oh snaps! Mm, I forgot my damn. Ooh. All right, y'all can call in now. If anybody want to call in, you got the floor. So I'm gonna give y'all 5 minutes. But if anybody want to call in and share, they give us your peace of mind. All right, this is your chance to express your grievances. Oh,
Call from
Brenda.
to accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
no. Hey, can I hear you? I can't hear you. Hold on. I might got something messed up. Ooh, I think I messed up. Oh, snaps. I'm tripping.
Hello?
Hey, hello?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? How you doing? Can we hear you? Oh, we can't hear you on the we can't hear you on the live stream. Hold on.
Uh,
What's going on?
I was calling about the child support issue.
Oh, we can hear you. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. My son now is 29 years old. But back when my son, I didn't put the child's father on child support for 2 years because I was trying to give him a chance to come in and do it on his own. So when my son turned 2, I filed child support. He was a merchant seaman. Payment was set at $235 a month. This bleep quit his job as a merchant seaman to keep from paying me $235. Child support rolled up. Payment got up to $25,000. Never paid. I never worried about it. I worked. I took care of my child myself. Well, when my son turned 18, he inboxed me on Facebook and told me he wanted to have a relationship with my son. I said, well, he 18. It's not up to me. It's up to him. I'll give him your number, and y'all can call. Y'all can work that out. I gave my son the number, and my son say, I know he's my father. I thank God for his seed for getting me here, but he can miss me with the bullshit. He didn't want to have nothing to do with it.
Mm.
Now,
I don't blame him.
now, do y'all think I should have talked to my son and encouraged him? Because he's 18 now. I stayed out of it. I didn't take the daddy's side. I didn't take my son's side, and I let my son make that decision. And that's the decision he made.
Well, yeah, I think in that type of situation, man, kids end up growing up and seeing the true colors of the parent. So,
And I never talked about him. And he has a Facebook page, and he didn't come around my son. Out of all the times we went to court, it wasn't for me to go get more money. It was him trying to decline the payment. But if you go and pull up those court records, you will never see me asking for more money, and you will never see him asking the judge for strict visitation. He never, not once, asked for it. He didn't push it, so I didn't push it either. But it ended up he was owing $25,000. He still owed $25,000. Probably never see that again. Oh, and another thing, when he called me about getting back with my son, he told me, he said, I took out an insurance policy and I put you as a beneficiary. He got 2 more baby mamas. He said, if anything should happen to me, will you split the money with the other baby mama? I was like, if my name on it, I ain't split it with nobody. I'm splitting with my son.
I feel you. You're like, yeah,
And
I'll
then
split
I
it.
asked him, can you go ahead and send that paperwork so I won't even have to come to your funeral?
Ooh-wee.
He's a hot mess.
He sure is. He shouldn't even ask for that.
He's
That's
a deacon
crazy.
in the church now.
Oh, don't they all be? Everybody want to get right with God for that. Okay. Mm-mm. No, I think that's totally out of line. And you know what? And I find it egregious when I hear stories like this because I'm like, man, the bare minimum you could do is pay child support to be a father.
And the thing about, I think somebody on your live say, every child needs a man in their life to teach them things. That's true, because we had to go to YouTube when it came time to learning how to shave and tie the tie, so we did it. But my son is 29 years old, and he don't have no kind of bad things. I ain't been to the jailhouse. I ain't been to the hospital, and he ain't in the cemetery. So I think I did a pretty damn good job on my own.
Hey, man. Yeah, I think yeah, this situation, man, this is just like these situations that you're going through is so common that it's hard to. It seems like it's far fetched to take a real father serious when there are more situations that you went through than there are with fathers trying to be active parents.
Yeah.
So, man, thank you for calling and sharing your story.
Okay.
We do appreciate it, and you open up and being vulnerable to the everyday people.
I enjoy it.
Thank you. Hey, feel free to call in again because we'll be here another time.
Okay.
All right,
Goodbye.
thank you. See, there you have it. Men ain't shit. I swear, y'all men. You know what? I man, I've said this before, but you know the main reason why I pay child support is because I witnessed my father go to jail over child support. And my father's a good father. Don't get it twisted. There's just a lot of, he had some growing to do, but then he had 3 kids back to back to back as a young man. So if when my mama said keep your pen in your pocket and your ink in your pen, that was it, okay? Um, but I was like, nah, I ain't never going through that. So yeah, I bust my ass not to not to I bust my ass not to have to do that. And not only that, it's funny. People can say whatever, be irate and say some crazy stuff, but um the crazy part is when all that stuff was happening, my sisters and my brother lived with us at the same damn time. So not only that is my father was in jail for child support, my sister and brother lived with us. So yeah, plot twist, right? Yeah. So it didn't become a problem till it became a problem. When, I don't know the whole story of what happened, but I do know all that stuff got taken care of. And I think they were more, because when you hear about people owing $25,000 in child support and not going to jail or anything about it, I just think Oklahoma sucks as a state. It sucks for fathers, because why would you take a father from his kids that he's taking care of for, you know, he say, she say type stuff, whatever. But eventually everything got fixed, and it was just like, yeah, that let me know, nah, don't ever get behind on your child support because these people gonna lock your ass up for some stupid ass shit. And then how does that help you? How does that help any of the kids? How does that help any kid that this person has? It don't. So, it was a life lesson. And, after that, life got better. So I just wanted to let y'all know it's just a little bit of vulnerability. You know what I'm saying? I ain't perfect. And we're not going to be perfect. But what we can do is be better. If y'all want to be better, just pay attention to what's going on around you and be better. That's it. That's all it takes. Be a better father, be a better mother, be a better sister, a better brother, be a better kid, be a better grandparent, be a better friend. Okay? When y'all look at these stories and y'all hear these real true life stories, and y'all be like, well, that couldn't be me. Should be a better you. Because you never know, it could be you. You know what I'm saying? Or it could be somebody you know, or it could be somebody you around. Be a better person at all times. Just be better. Be a better parent at all times. Be a better role model at all times. Stop looking at these situations as, oh, that couldn't be me. Hell no. Be better. Try to be better. Try to fix your life. If you see something in these, you'll see something in these stories and be like, man, don't say it couldn't be you. Say, no, I need to learn from this person. I respect what they going through, and I'm finna learn from this. That's all you gotta do. Shit, I bring y'all the trauma so y'all don't have to go through it. Motherfucker they be leaving these lives like, ooh, after this live, I need some damn therapy looking ass. Everyday people, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. We had another great live. And make sure y'all tune in tomorrow. We'll be going in all weekend long, except the 4th of July. You will not see me here. The 4th of July, you will not see me here, but I will have a video for y'all who ain't out there popping fireworks. I'll have something good for y'all. So, anyway, like, comment, and subscribe.